What is up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Josh, and today we're going to be talking about every single thing I've done to my Surron Ultra Bee so far. Now, before we get started on today's video, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is Electrics Moto, which is where I'm at today. It is my eMoto store. I will leave the link in the description, so anything we talk about today, plus anything you see on our website, you can use the code ROAM and save 10%. So I don't want to make this a super long video, but there are some recent modifications that I did. And you guys, if you've watched any of my videos in the past, I will put them in the description so you can go watch them. I'm not going to get into every fine detail, but simply go over the things that I've done. I'm not going to get into why I did them because it should be pretty obvious, and then we can kind of wrap this thing up. So first thing, gut seat cover. If you guys don't have a seat cover and you ride in the woods or on the moto track or around your driveway in your backyard, having a seat cover makes all the difference in the world. The link for this will be in the description so you can check that out. A new addition that we just put on here is the Warp 9 handlebar risers, and they have a self-dampening, kind of like a little buffer. I wouldn't call it a spring, but it's a piece of rubber, and it allows these bars to they like flex. I haven't ridden with these yet, but I know I wanted my bars a little bit higher. I ride the woods mostly, and I kind of want to be more in a better position. This allows me to be in just a better riding position overall. I did not notice, or I did not realize how much I would like this modification, but once I sat on the bike and realized like my arms are like kind of already in that good riding position because the bars are up higher. When they're lower, like your elbows automatically drop down, which puts you like, you're not in control of the bike if your elbows aren't up. So the Warp 9 bar risers, I would highly recommend it to anybody with an Ultra Bee. The self-dampening springs, buffers, whatever you want to call them, they come in two different tensions maybe, I guess is the best way to put it. But one of them is a lot more dense and one of them is more soft. The blue one is more soft, so I have a lot more flex in my bars. The red one is more dense, so you don't have as much flex. I'm gonna go riding this week and I'll test them out and see what I like, and I'll just take the ones off that I don't like and keep the ones that I do. But already out of the box, like that setup is just a lot better for me. So something that you guys definitely know if you've been to the channel already, and if you haven't, then now you do know. I do have the F43 shocks up front and the R46. I always call it the mid suspension, but it's just the rear shock. Forks, shocks, not the same thing. They are the Cirrus suspension setup, and you guys have probably heard me rave about it already. I can't imagine going back now. This suspension is so ultra plush. This is the Trail Tune. I'm 175 pounds, probably 180-ish with all of my gear on. And my latest video that I did a 20-mile ride or a 30-mile ride in the woods, and it was absolutely epic to have this suspension. So I know it's not a cheap product by any means. I have not even started touching the compression settings or anything yet. I still have a little bit more time on the bike before I can technically do that. And I will be doing that once the time is right, but I'm gonna go through one more 20, 30-mile ride in the woods before I feel confident in adjusting it. But it's an absolute game changer for anybody who's looking to take their Ultra Bee to the next level. Another thing that you guys have maybe heard me talk about, maybe not, I did a video on these wheels specifically as a budget wheel option, and it definitely is a budget wheel option. The KKE wheels that I put on this thing, I know you can't see them that well right now. I'll put some B-roll over this so you can see them better. But the spokes on these wheels are slightly thinner than the Warp 9 wheels. The hubs are a 6000 series aluminum versus a 7000 series aluminum, and the wheel itself is made out of stainless steel. The only difference really between this and a Warp 9 is a little bit more durability, I would say. I have not ridden this bike hard enough, and I don't think most people ride their bikes hard enough to justify spending $1,000 or $1,100 or $1,200 on a wheel setup. I will leave both options in the description, but the KKE wheel setup for me, it's perfect. I don't need much more. I'm sure I will end up putting a pair of Warp 9s on here at some point, but it's not because I need to, it's just maybe because I want to. So the KKE, it's an 18-inch rear, a 21-inch front, and I did go with the Dunlop Geomax MX, MX53s. Yeah. So the MX-53 is on the front and rear. It's a super bomber tire. I'm really stoked with the way it's turned out so far. It does not give me any traction issues, and that's riding on track. That's also riding in the woods. I've had no problems with them whatsoever. All right, so the last thing I want to talk about is controllers, batteries, and all of that craziness. I'm not gonna bash like controllers and batteries because I am gonna put a different controller on this bike. I will go with the EBMX 9000. I will also probably put a bigger battery, a more dense battery, just for longer range. I don't think most people need to upgrade the controllers and batteries and motors to make this thing faster. I think most people can have a lot of fun on this bike and take this bike into a lot of different places without doing any of that. So personally for me, I don't need more speed, but more range is obviously always nice. Having the ability to control your bike's parameters through an app with the EBMX controller makes things a lot better, just because there's a lot more adjustability. I can only adjust throttle sensitivity on this bike in its factory form if it's in sport mode. Well, when I'm in the woods, I don't always ride sport mode, and I don't want to have to ride sport mode just to control my throttle sensitivity. So there's little things like that that you can kind of dial in once you have like a controller like the EBMX controller. So it's something that I'm currently trying to figure out for myself. The motor, I really don't see a need to change the motor. Now, when we do our moto build at Electrics Moto, we will build a moto bike, a specific moto bike that will be specifically tuned for the track. It will have all the things that a moto bike needs, and it's definitely going to be a bigger motor. That is definitely going to be a bigger battery. That's going to be a controller. I would go with stronger wheels, possibly, if we're going to be doing big 30-foot gaps and 50-foot tabletops, and we're really going to try to push this bike and race it. I will probably make some changes there, but for right now, this thing is totally good with me. This bike will stay in this fashion, and then I'll build a Ultra Bee that is more race centric. So we'll have a trail bike and a race bike. Obviously, that's not realistic for everybody. So the reason I'm mentioning all of this is because I don't want you to think you have to spend another $3,000 or $4,000 or $5,000 on the motor, the battery, and the controller just to have fun on this bike. Okay, that's it. That is pretty much all the information that I think that is important to you on my Surron Ultra Bee build. This is my personal bike. I bought it with my personal money. I'm building it with my personal money. Electrics Moto is my business, and I do have access to parts. I get them a little bit cheaper, so it does make things a little bit nicer, but I bought all of this stuff before I opened Electrics Moto and had access to all of that different pricing options. So if you guys have any questions, leave them in the comments. If you guys want more information about my bike or you want more information about Electrics Moto, you can click over to the Electrics Moto YouTube channel. We will be doing an upload there every single week as well, but they're going to be not like this. They're going to be more install specific, detail specific, taking more time to show like the fine pieces that you need to see, where I just like to kind of talk to the camera and give you guys information. And if you like that kind of stuff, cool, like it, subscribe, come along for more adventures, and I will see you next week.